This is the Browns' projected win totals. So BetMGM has them at 4.5. Caesar Sportsbook 5.5. ESPN bet 4.5. Spencer, I'm curious. Do you think the win total's kind of low for the Browns?
This might surprise some people, but I do. I understand coming off of a 3-win season, you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt from anybody. Everyone's going to pick you to lose a bunch of games. They're going to say that your roster's no good and all this different stuff. And I understand, like a year ago, the conversation around this roster was very different. We were talking about a team that we thought was maybe a sleeper Super Bowl pick, or their roster was talented enough to be a playoff team again. I do think like the drop off from believing that a year ago to now just thinking that the roster's no good at all is kind of funny. And again, that comes with the territory of only winning 3 games last year. So I guess they got to kind of wear that. But I actually think like when you think about this team last year and what their biggest problem was, it was obviously the quarterback position and obviously the offense and the inability of the offense to score points, to orchestrate long drives down the field and give the defense some time to kind of breathe and get off the field. But the defense held their own. There was a number of games last year where the defense kept them in it as long as they could, kept it a one possession game for as long as they could, and just because the offense could do nothing, they ultimately lost those games. So I'm under the belief that like even with competent quarterback play, which I think you've seen from Joe Flacco, most notably with this group that you currently have, and that you're hopeful to find with at least the 2 rookies that you have as well, that changes the outlook of this offense entirely. And if you can at least have an average NFL offense and put up some points, I think you're still going to win a handful of games. So to me, I'm not a huge betting person, but if I had the disposable income to put on it, I do think like 5.5. 5.5 is more on the right track. 4.5 feels a little bit low for me. I did like the whole schedule game thing where you go game by game and pick it. I had them at 6-11, which might not be like that big of a step up, but all these totals are under 6. And I think the sweet spot honestly might be like 6 or 7. And I get it. Tough schedule. There's been a lot said about just their strength of schedule being like second hardest in the league by some of these analytics websites. So I get all those things, but that's also based a lot off of last year's results for all these teams, and so things can obviously change and be different. So I don't know. I think 6, 7, 8. I think anybody should be able to talk themselves into that many wins for a team if they simply get average or okay quarterback play, because that was what held this team back so much last year. And I think this year's room, even though we don't know who the frontline starter is and how it's all going to shake out, I still do feel like you feel good about most of these guys giving you at least competent offense and competent quarterback play.
Yeah, and I would add the offensive line figures to be better by going back, and your running game figures to be better. So I agree it's low. But again, I still have no idea who the quarterback is going to be and is he going to play like you need him to play.